Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I just saw this movie on Netflix called You People. Give me a yes in the chat if you saw this movie. It's a movie that stars Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill, Nia Long, Lauren London, Mike Epps is in it. A lot of really talented people are in this movie. And I just finished watching it, and I watched a little bit of it earlier, and I kind of gave you guys my initial impression, but I kept on watching just to make sure I got all the way through it so I could give you an assessment on it. I think it's an important movie because a lot of people were watching, and a lot of you wanted to know what I think. So I thought I'd kind of break it down for you. So anyway, as I come in here, shout out the city you're from. Let me know what city you're from. And also I want to say hi to Brenda Washington, Reby Ryan, Karen Terry, Ronald Muhammad, and put your B1 in the chat if you're okay with being black first, if you believe in black intelligence. That's what we stand for. And hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up. And what's up on Instagram? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. So let me give you guys an assessment of this movie. Let me know if you saw it. It's called You People, and it stars Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill, as well as some other interesting people. And the movie is basically kind of like a modern day. When I talked to my wife about it, she said, well, what's the movie about? I said, well, it's kind of like a modern day version of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Did anybody remember that one with Sidney Poitier? And it's always, if you ever want to make a good movie in America, or a movie that people are going to watch that's going to be an attention grabber, just go basically create an interracial relationship and document the reactions of the families. That's pretty much the formula, right? Just find, oil and water, a white person marrying a black person, connect them together, and you're going to get an interesting dynamic. Same thing whenever you do a poll. I remember noticing this during the O.J. Simpson trial a long time ago. Whenever they wanted to create an interesting poll, all they would do is they would ask white people, do you think OJ's guilty? Then they would ask black people, do you think OJ's guilty? And the white people said, oh, we believe he's guilty. The black people said, we don't believe he's guilty. Or if you look at the reactions after the OJ trial, when OJ was found innocent, or not guilty. He wasn't innocent. He was not guilty. Those are two different things. Make sure you always know that. When they found him not guilty, they showed the black people in the barbershop. We screaming, going crazy. The black student center, and the white people are like crying. They're like, oh my God, I thought we was going to put that Negro in jail, right? So racial tension is an easy target in terms of making films about it. Kenya Barris, who's one of the writers on this film, he wrote this film, You People, along with Jonah Hill. Kenya Barris also created some other interesting shows like Blackish and Black AF. And then I think he's got Mixed-ish. And so Kenya Barris is a guy who's a talented writer, but he's also sort of made this career off of kind of explaining black culture to white people. He's what I call a Negro explainer. You know what I'm talking about? Like those black people that feel like it's so important to make sure white people understand who we are, right? Did anybody know what I'm talking about? Like you got the bridge builders, the Negro explainers that are like, it's my job to, as a black person, to explain to white people, you gotta understand this. You must understand us, right? And the problem I have with Kenya Barris as a Negro explainer, and again, he's a talented writer, but we know how Hollywood operates. Hollywood's about, formulas and sometimes, who's laying down on the casting couch. Or if you notice, for example, a lot of times when you see a black person in Hollywood that's doing well, typically they're married to a white person or a Jewish person. In fact, whenever I find out that there's a black person that's been elevated to some really high status, like the president of ABC or something like that, I always Google search who their spouse is, because if you'll notice, you'll find that their spouse is either white or Jewish, or their spouse is the same gender. This is no disrespect. I'm not trying to say that this is bad. I'm not trying to say that they're terrible people. I'm just trying to say that Hollywood is a space where they have a certain culture themselves, a certain bias themselves, and there's an agenda there, right? So Kenya Barris, as a Negro explainer, he's made probably a couple $100 million doing this. The other challenge I would have with Kenya as the explainer of black culture to white people is that Kenya Barris's description of black culture, I think, can be somewhat limited. In Kenya Barris's world, from what I have seen, black culture tends to come down to hip hop and hairstyles. That's it. If you want to know what it means to be black, just be pissed off about everything, right? Anything a white person says, like, well, what you trying to say? You trying to say my hair ain't right? What you trying to say? No, right? Or go, so hip hop hairstyles and Gucci belts and Jordans and all this pop culture stuff. And the problem I have with that is that that's not really the entirety or even a fraction of who you are, right? If you watch a show like Black AF, you'll notice, first thing you'll notice is that the music is some of the most debaucherous shit that you'll ever hear in your life. Has anybody ever watched Black AF? I can't watch that shit with my kids because the song, motherfucker, bitch, goddamn mother, god, something my dick, read my put, right? Seriously, like they think that this is what black people are. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. And remember, these record labels are not owned by black people. A lot of them, most of this stuff was manufactured by white folks, manufactured particularly by the people that own the labels, and you know who those people are. I shall not say their name because they like to cancel people. They're the same ones who Kanye said invented cancel culture, right? So this is not black culture, though. You know, me cussing on every other record, calling myself the N-word in every other verse is not black culture. That is manufactured white culture that was pressed on black people. I'm not saying that the music ain't slamming. I'm not saying that the talent ain't there. I'm not saying that the beats ain't on point. I'm saying that that ain't the entirety of who I am. I'm not trying to call myself the N-word in every other sentence. I'm trying to outgrow that. But you're reminding me, it's like I'm the kid trying to go from the first grade to middle school, and you trying to keep me in kindergarten, right? That's what they do to the black man. You trying to grow up. You trying to be a man. You trying to put on a suit and tie. They're like Jay-Z. When Jay-Z started trying to wear suits and ties, they said, no, we need you to wear those big oversized jerseys and sag your pants. And Jay-Z's like, wait a minute, I'm 45 years old. I shouldn't be sagging at 45. No, but that's what you're supposed to be. Well, this is kind of what the world kind of does with black people. They put blackness in this really awkward box. You know, they put it in the hoochie mama box, right? That's why you don't have hardly any popular female rappers who are not rapping about their vagina in every other sentence. Seriously, has anybody noticed that most of the popular rappers that you look up to, the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Lottos, all these other rappers that are coming along, all they're rapping about is their vagina. And I'm like, how many different creative ways can you find to express that you have a wet vagina? Everyone has one of those. Every woman on earth has a wet vagina, but they don't rap about it, you know, on the radio. They don't, I mean, again, if your stuff was that special, you wouldn't be giving it away for free to anybody within 100-mile radius. I mean, seriously, I mean, really, I don't know, does anybody else get sick of that? Like, my wet and gushy, my wop, my wet ass, blah, blah. I don't want to hear about your wop in every other verse. Okay, you told me about your wop. That should, honestly, seriously, your husband should know about your wop. Your boyfriend should know about your WAP. I should not know about your WAP unless you're from the streets and you just offering your WAP like it's government cheese. Like if you're giving your WAP away like a stimulus check, like if you're handing your WAP out like, you know, to anybody who walks by like free candy or something that they might give on the street corner, then that's fine, but that makes you into a hoe, right? And I don't believe that the black woman wants to be seen as America's hoe. Right? And so what I'm saying to you is this, and I would challenge a Kenya Barris on this issue. And if Kenya ever sees something I say, he can call me. I'll say it to his face. There's nothing I'll ever say about anybody that I wouldn't say directly to them in a respectful conversation. Stop acting like black culture is reduced to ratchet-ass hip-hop or somebody being pissed off because white people don't respect their hairstyles. Most of the black women I know that really are about it, that are really holding it down for the community, ain't sitting around wondering if a white lady respects the fact that she wants to wear braids or wants to know why she wears a wig or a weave. Like really, me and my wife, we don't talk about these things. We don't sit and say, gosh, I got to go across the street and explain to our white neighbor why your hair texture is different from hers and they need to understand that. And we're going to play some ratchet ass Cardi B music at the same time to let you know we black, y'all. This is what black is. So I think that Kenya Barris, as talented of a writer as he is, he's not the right guy to do a movie like this, right? He's too Hollywood. He doesn't seem, in my view, to really understand all the complexities that come with being black, unless it fits the Hollywood agenda. The Hollywood agenda tends to focus on a few simple areas. One, there's always some gay shit somewhere, right? Every movie, first thing you see in this movie is the main black character is gay. Now, nothing wrong with being gay. I'm not saying that at all. If you're gay, I love you too. But there is an agenda, right? Every single time, it's like literally in the first 5 minutes, there's a gay person and they're black, right? So you're the cool, spazzy, interesting, funny gay person. And then there is the other part of the Hollywood agenda is they're really big on interracial relationships. They somehow believe that for black people to truly make it, you have to be connected to white people in some way. Like you need them, like they're your parents. If you don't get wired into what they got going on, if you can't get them to like you, respect you, and accept you, then you have not made it yet. America has not become the country it can become because you're not sitting up under a white person's butt crack, right? And I disagree with that, right? And that speaks to that third agenda, which would be more related to integration. There are millions of black people in this country, and I think some of them are actually in this room. This is our bias. I think many of you have enough self-esteem and enough pride in who you are to know that the white man's butt crack is not made out of gold. That white people, that there's nothing special about being around white people, Jewish people, anybody else. That you kind of got what you need. Like you are special in your own right. You were somebody, before they even noticed who you were, before they started listening to your music, you knew you had good music. All right, and so really, I think that you got to be real careful about an integrationist agenda. Because integration really hasn't done anything good for black people. It doesn't mean integration was wrong. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have the right to go shop where you want, go to school where you want. But there was another subtext to all of this to say that his ice is colder and that your kids can't learn unless they sit next to a white person. That you really aren't important unless white people acknowledge you and give you these bullshit Academy Awards and whatever nonsense they've probably given Kenya for writing these interesting pieces that he writes. I don't hate everything he does. I watch Blackish. I watch Black AF. I didn't watch Mixed Dish as much. I don't hate those shows. I don't hate him as a writer. It's just that in the midst of all the extraordinary things I see black people doing, you probably may not make even the top 50 because I see lots of really extraordinary black people who don't care if white people notice what they're doing or not. They're not, and in fact, I like to think that I'm one of them. I'm not trying to be mainstream. I'm not trying to go to Hollywood. I'm not trying to be on CNN. I'm not trying to get white America to notice who I am. I've had some of that, and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy being scrutinized constantly. I didn't enjoy having somebody tell me something was wrong with me. I didn't enjoy them tolerating me despite the fact that I was black. No, you're supposed to love me because I'm black. What I bring to the table is a gift. So you need to honor that gift. And if you can't honor the gift, if you just let me in because you just like, we're going to let a couple Negroes in as part of our affirmative action program, well, then know what? You know what? I'm too good for that. Find somebody that's got low self-esteem and maybe you can help them. Somebody with low self-esteem, less talent, bring them in. But when you're talking about the best and brightest in your community, you got to stop giving them away to the people who don't give very much back. You got to stop giving them away. You got to stop saying, well, you're so talented, maybe one day a white man will acknowledge you. No, you don't need all that. You're special the way you're. Jimi Hendrix was just as great on the Chitlin circuit as he was when he went to England. Do you understand what the fuck I'm saying? Give me a yes if you get what I'm saying. Jimi Hendrix was just as talented on the Chitlin circuit as he was when he went to England and was touring with the Beatles. Being acknowledged by other people does not in any way it doesn't enhance what you're doing. It probably dilutes it, actually. It dilutes it. Right? So if you see the Hollywood version of Boyce, think about this. Imagine right now y'all got the real Boyce. Y'all got the real, authentic, independent Boyce Watkins, right? Good or bad. Sometimes I'm an asshole. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I may get on people's nerves, but whether you like it or not, that's real. That's who I am. Imagine the Hollywood version of Boyce, like the one at the Oscars, standing up there with the black tie and, getting an award from like Brad Pitt or something. Like that's not a Boyce that I'm familiar with, nor is that a Boyce that I would really enjoy hanging out with. And that doesn't mean I have anything against a Brad Pitt. Like I'll work, I don't mind working with other people or talking to other people, but the real me has to be in tow every single place I go, right? So what I would say to you is that the big challenge with you people, and I did a survey, I did a poll, and by the way, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'll tell you guys what the poll results were. I did a poll on the film to ask you guys what you think, because I only care about what you think. I don't care about what the world thinks. And so far, I think I asked, did you see the movie and did you enjoy it? Most of you haven't seen it. 58% of you have not seen it. And 20 out of the people that have seen it, more of you liked it than disliked it, right? So 18% saw it and thought it was bad. 24% of you saw it and thought it was good. 58% of you didn't see it at all. And if you don't see it, I don't think you're really missing much. It doesn't mean that it's not entertaining. Now, here's one thing I'm going to say that's good about the movie. They got some really good talent. They got some really interesting people that I like to watch. I like Eddie Murphy. I like Nia Long. I like, I think Lauren London has always been the prettiest thing on TV. But the thing about Lauren London that's interesting is I remember years ago, Lauren, I felt sorry for Lauren London, actually, because I remember, does anybody remember when Lauren London was talking about the type of man that she likes, and she said that she watched Menace to Society and saw O-Dog? Anybody remember O-Dog from Menace to Society, Lorenz Tate's character? And if you don't remember, O-Dog was like the craziest dude ever. He was literally the type of guy, it starts off with a scene where a Korean lady says something to him, and he basically like shoots her in the face because she said something that he didn't like. And he was like literally the type of dude where you look at him, some of y'all might have grew up with a guy like that. And guys like that, always end up getting like a 50-year prison sentence, right? And they become these cautionary tales that, of what you don't want to do if you're a young black male. Anybody remember O-Dog? And she saw O-Dog, there's a picture of him on the screen. She saw O-Dog in Menace to Society, and she said, I fell in love with him. She said, that's the kind of man I want. And the problem, though, with that is not to say that she doesn't have a right to be attracted to what she wants, but I was really questioning at that time, who taught you to fall in love with the gangster image of the black man? Who taught you that? Who taught you that a black man who is self-destructive, who is going to die at an early age, is the ideal man for you? Like, does that mean that your children won't have a father? They're going to either be visiting him in prison or visiting him in the morgue. You're not going to have a happy life because you may be in the car when somebody decides they want to do a drive-by on your family. And next thing you know, you and your baby got bullet holes in your body because you want to be about that life. Right? Now, again, not criticizing, but I was really concerned about that. And I think that this is where we have to, as black people, take a second to really say, okay, what is this so-called culture? When they talk about the culture, what is the culture really doing to our people? Is it giving us life or is it feeding us death? I just read a story the other day about 3 rappers in Detroit that they just found dead in an abandoned building. Is that the culture that you want? Do you want your son, your black son? You talk all day about how you worry about your son being killed by a cop, but do you ever think about the fact that your son is more likely to be killed in the hood over some hood shit? Like, does that bother you, or are you only concerned about a cop? Now, do me a favor. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Give me a yes if you can hear me okay, because I want to make sure. Sometimes when I travel, I'm on different Wi-Fi, and I don't know if the Wi-Fi is always working. So let me know you guys can hear me okay. All right, so let me tell you a few more things about this movie. We're talking about this movie, You People. It's on Netflix. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I think it's worth checking out just to kind of see what it is. And so here are a few things I wanted to note about this film. Number one, I think we got to be real careful about who we allow to represent or claim that they understand black culture. I don't think Kenya Barris really understands the type of black culture I'm familiar with. His black culture, again, is ratchet hip hop and hairstyles. I think that a broader view is more appropriate, because one of the things that they did in the film that I found personally offensive was they kind of made fun of the Nation of Islam. They made fun of Farrakhan, and I'm just from a space where you don't make fun of Farrakhan. You can make a joke or something if you want to, but you don't sort of write off the Nation of Islam and everything related to that as if it's some sort of ridiculous joke. I don't think that is fair. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's right. And I don't think it's appropriate, because if I compare who does more for the black community, let me know who does more for the black community. Ratchet ass gangster rappers or the Nation of Islam? Who cares more about black people? If you were in a situation, the race war broke out tomorrow, and you needed to raise money to build hospitals, start black businesses, protect the black woman, protect black children, who would you turn to? Brother Nuri Muhammad of the Nation of Islam and Louis Farrakhan, or would you turn to Dr. Dre, right? or Jay-Z? Who do you think is really going to show up and come through for the black community? It's going to be the Nation of Islam. So what I would encourage you to do is be very cautious about allowing the power brokers in Hollywood, to minimize and ridicule the people that you hold sacred, the people that you respect, the people that love you, the people that come through for you, the black men who will marry a black woman and not feel like they're settling down, right? The black men who will show up for a black child, the black men and black women who will lead the community and really will get that school built, who really will get that business started, who really will follow through and get these things done. So because the last time I checked, these Hollywood entertainers haven't done hardly anything for the black community. They don't build anything sustainable because they can't. They don't have the skill set. Their bosses do. The Jewish community does, actually. They built all of Hollywood. There's a whole book about it called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. They did an amazing job with that. But the individuals that you are taught to honor and admire, they're not builders. They're beggars. They're borrowers. They're bums. They get canceled easily by the people that actually have the real power. They're not the puppet master. They are the puppet. They think that they're a real boy, but they're really Pinocchio. So ultimately, you got to be really thoughtful about sort of looking up to some of these so-called black Hollywood power brokers, or these Hollywood individuals that you admire so much, because a lot of them are paper tigers. They're the Wizard of Oz. They haven't accomplished anything individually on their own, and that's just the honest to God truth. I hate saying it like that, but it's true. Now, here's the other thing too. This film was interesting because it was kind of a typical story I've seen before, where you have an interracial couple, and the whole message, I knew where it was going to go. It was going to go toward, these two falling in love, all the awkward moments where their relatives are meeting each other, and where they're reading meeting the family members and all that. And then they were going to go to some sort of point where everything breaks down, the wedding's off, and then there was going to be like some miraculous point of character development where the people who were most against the wedding suddenly turn the other cheek, or decide that they actually support the wedding, and they were going to get married and then be doing the electric slide at the end of the wedding, right? That was where it went, and that's exactly where, this is a formula, right? I kind of expected that. Now, the one thing that was interesting about this is that the message that you might typically receive from something like this is that, people who hold on to traditional values in terms of family and culture, those people are wrong. At the end of the movie, Eddie Murphy's character is apologizing for being mean to the white guy and all this other stuff. So that's the message you get, that these people are wrong, and that the right approach is that if you meet somebody and you love that person, you should just get with that person. Don't worry about what the families think. Swirling is it. Swirling's the thing. Now, this is not anti-swirling. This is not anything negative toward those who are in interracial relationships. I have people in my family that have done the same thing. In fact, my goddaughter married a white guy. He's a very nice guy. I like him a lot. So I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you do this. But one of the things I think you got to be really careful about, though, is forgetting that when you get married, you are marrying the family. This is one thing that I think you should pick up from this. When you marry a person, you're not marrying that person. You're marrying their family. So if they got a bunch of shitty racist relatives who are going to hate your guts because you're black, that's going to cause tremendous stress on your relationship. Marriage and relationships are already hard. When you try to blend cultures and create, these awkward realities without considering all the different variables, you're only making it 10 times harder. You're only dramatically increasing your probability of divorce. So when I married my wife, I knew I wouldn't just marry my wife. I had to meet her cousins. I had to meet her mama. I had to meet her family. I had to meet everybody, because I needed to know what I was marrying into. In fact, she was divorced, so I even wanted to know a little bit about her relationship with her ex-husband. I ain't dealing with no baby daddy drama in this chaos. I need to know, are your kids, do you have good kids, or are they poorly behaved kids? Are your cousins crazy? They gonna get me killed? They gonna bring drama into our family, or are we gonna have peace, right? So you have to know these things. Don't think that marriage is about one person. See, in America, you get this false belief that love will conquer all, and that it's only about whether you like the person, whether you think she has a big booty or whatever. No, there are plenty of women that have nice bodies that you can marry that are also from a similar culture. There are plenty of men who have swag and kindness who come from the same culture. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that if all you do is base your marital decision on the person and not the family and not where they come from, then the cultural context under which they were raised, you are creating a world of problems in your relationship because you chose to marry somebody because the sex was good. That is not a good reason to get married. That will only make things very stressful for you. All right. The other thing, too, is This film, I noticed they picked up on a lot of the tension between the Jewish community and the Muslim community, and I thought that was interesting. Not much to say about that, but it was there. So again, the Kenya Barris formula. Let's mix some white people and black people together, and then let's explain black culture to white people, and then get them to accept us at the end. Like, that's kind of the constant theme of a lot of his work. I will say this too, that I don't give a shit about symbolism and whether or not white people like me or not. My goal when I wake up in the morning is not, dear Lord Jesus, please get me accepted by a white man. One of the things that I think black people deserve are reparations. So if you ain't writing a check, then don't kiss my neck, right? If you ain't writing a check, then don't try to be my friend. If you're not cutting the check, then we have nothing else to talk about. So I need you to kind of understand that racism and inequality is never going to disappear because white people decide that they like your hairstyle. It's not going to disappear because more white people decide to start listening to rap music. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. It's not going to disappear because you now have more white friends than you have black friends. It's never going to disappear because some Negro got an Academy Award. It's going to disappear when you write the damn check. And that check is about $13-14 trillion. And if you can't write the check, then get out of my face. If you can't write the check, then you've given me no respect. Any respect must come with a check. If you don't write the check, then I don't want to do kumbaya. I'm not singing with you till you write the check, till you pay the money you owe me, because you playing me for a sucker, and I'm not a sucker. All right. So anyway, let me keep going here. The other thing too is that, in the film, what was also interesting was one dynamic I noticed is that the white people were very friendly and accepting. Like, they really wanted to understand the black people. Most of their cultural blunders were by accident because they just didn't know how to respond to black people. The black people were just very angry, very standoffish, very like who is this white bitch and blah blah blah. Just like, and we don't act like that. Like, that's not really who we are. And in fact, that sort of image of the angry black man is something that it plagues society. A lot of white people think that because I talk in favor of the black community that I have an issue with white folks. No, I don't have no issue with you. I just want you to be respectful, and I want you to write the damn check that you owe. And get your government, get your politicians. If you want me to pay attention to your politicians, get them to write a reparations check. That's what I'm saying. But I don't hate you for that. And so ultimately, I think that image of the angry black man, angry black people, period, who simply are just too frigid to adjust to this new age integration society that we have. The problem with that is that you're getting back to this point where you are literally, and this is specifically targeted toward the black man. They love to portray the black man as this angry Neanderthal who needs to be enlightened and politically educated. If you notice, the number one antagonist, the person who had the biggest issue with the interracial relationship, it was the father, Eddie Murphy. What did they do in the movie in their character development? Well, by the end of the movie, the father's like, I'm sorry. Okay, I like this. I'm going to go along with this. I'm going to support this, right? This is no different from what they do in every election. The black man is usually the one sitting back saying, I'm not voting for the Democrats no more. You're trying to push all this gay shit on me. You're trying to gaslight me. You're not doing anything for black people. You're giving all this money to black women that are running Black Lives Matter, but you're not doing anything for our families. You're not respecting me, whatever. So we're not voting for you. Well, what is the general message? The general messaging is, these black men need to come around. These black men, they're ignorant, they're stubborn, they're Neanderthals, and we need them to come around to do whatever we tell them to do, right? And that is something that I just firmly reject. I like to think we're reasonable. I know we're reasonable, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to respect the family and respect the community, then I don't want what you're selling. I'm not smoking what you're smoking. You can go get along and be friendly with everybody, but it's the father who actually, in traditional households, the father is that guardian. The father is the one who's not going to fall for the okie doke. You can't charm him out of his panties. He's not going to just like you just because you bought some flowers to the door. He's going to say, wait a minute, I need to know what's really going on right here. I know you told my wife she's beautiful. Thank you. I know that. But what are you really trying to get? What are you I know what you're trying to get. You're trying to get in my daughter's panties, and I understand that. I get it. But that's not going to happen without you properly showing the respect you deserve. So ultimately, I think that message, I felt that the goal was to take the so-called angry, stubborn black man and get him to eventually go along with the program. And the whole program is giving away his daughter to this Jewish guy and because he's finally enlightened and he's finally okay with whatever the hell the world is bringing to him, and I just picked up on that. I'm not saying that Eddie's character was wrong. I'm just saying that that's not something that is of interest to me, to be honest with you. And so I really think that in this film, I made some notes here actually. So when you talk about like what I would call this very awkward racial healing. This ain't real racial healing. This is a Hollywood agenda. This is the Hollywood version of racial healing. Hollywood racial healing basically says, if you people would simply just calm down and stop being mad about everything and open your minds, everything's going to be fine. Well, no, I need you to open your bank account. I need you to open your wallet, write a check for $14 trillion for reparations, and then leave me the fuck alone. Like, I don't even need you to invite me to any parties. I can host my own parties. I don't need you to give me jobs. If you give us what we're owed, we can create jobs. I don't need you to let me into your schools. We can build schools, and then also I think, just generally speaking, I think Kenya Barris, I feel like to some extent, I feel very disturbed when I watch his shows. They're funny. Right, he knows how to be funny, and he knows the Hollywood formula. But I think that I get a sense he doesn't really understand the significance of what he's doing. I think that again, when you just think that understanding black people means wearing your Air Jordans and a Gucci belt and listening to hip hop music and being able to being able to recite lyrics from a Cardi B song. That actually is a white supremacist version of blackness. That's not what black people are all about. Again, I don't think that the black woman wants to be known as America's favorite hoe. I just don't think that is a good look for the black woman, and I think that this does affect our community. It causes our little girls to be over sexualized, which leads to all kinds of crazy outcomes later. And then when those things happen, when that little girl's 12 years old sleeping with a grown man or whatever, we turn and we say, well, why aren't black men protecting black women? Well, because you're constantly invading the family and invading the community with all these ideas that make the family quite vulnerable, from the missing father and the single mother to children that are growing up way too fast, in this crazy world. So I just personally think that there has to be a deeper conversation about this. So with this movie, I'm not gonna sit here and say it wasn't funny. I did think it was funny. I thought some of it was good. I like Mike Epps. I like Eddie Murphy. I like Nia Long. I like Lauren London. I like all the people. I even like Jonah Hill. I think he's talented, right? So it's not about the talent of the people involved. It's about the fact that the movie went deeper than just being a simple romantic comedy. They're trying to send a message, and there's no such thing as just entertainment. Never believe that. A lot of the reason that your whole community is broken down and busted up and torn to pieces is because this stuff that they call the culture is ruining the black community. It's destroying wealth by the trillions. Do you understand how often I have tried to hire like young black people who were so smoked up on fucking weed that they literally couldn't hardly do their damn job? And then I sound like the mean old man when I say, that shit is fucking your brain up. And then they're like, oh, well, you need to get with it, doc. Old man, you need. No, I know what a sharp, intelligent person sounds like. And you don't sound sharp and intelligent because you're missing meetings because you sitting there around getting high all day. Who told you that was normal behavior? And who the hell are you listening to? You should have been listening to your daddy. You should be listening to men like me, but instead you listening to the culture. This stupid culture that wants you dead by the age of 30, that don't want you showing up for your kids in any reasonable way, that doesn't want you to be intelligent, they don't want you to be financially secure, they don't want you to be reliable, they don't want you to be on top, they want you to be on the bottom so that your raggedy ass, drunk ass, high ass gets shot by a cop, then they're going to hold a goddamn candlelight vigil for you like somehow this could have happened to anybody and scare the hell out of all these millions of single moms saying, oh my God, I think my son's going to get killed by a cop. Well, if your son was alert and ready for battle, that ain't gonna happen to him. You can't name one single member of the Nation of Islam who has been shot by a cop. You can't, because those men are built different. You need to build sturdier young people if you want your community to succeed. If these kids are getting to 18 years old and they can't read and they can't calculate and they can't strategize and they're not alert. Because how are they going to compete in this world of racial animosity? How are they going to compete on this battlefield? They can't compete. So all they can do at that point, when you find out you can't compete, all you can do is submit. Yes, sir, I know that I can't succeed unless I get white people to acknowledge and accept me and to know who I am and give me opportunities and all that. So they build you for begging. They want you vulnerable. They want you weak. They want you broke. They want you struggling. They don't want a man in your household because Joe Biden wants to come and be your man. That's what they want. The government becomes your husband. Jesus, white Jesus in the government is married to more black women than black men themselves. And this is all by design. You are an oppressed community. This is why integration is not a good strategy for us. I'm not saying separation is the key. I'm not saying run away from white people. I'm not saying you got to hate anybody. I'm just saying that if you want evidence that all this stuff around you ain't working, just look around you. And look at all the things that ain't working. And just know there's a reason for that. This ain't by accident. This was all by design. So when I see movies like this, that's what I see. I see, okay, yeah, this is the result of it. Yeah, we need white people to accept us because we can't take care of ourselves. Well, I'm not built like that. My daddy didn't build me that way. And the best thing my daddy ever gave me was the ability to not give a damn what anybody thinks. So I don't care when I've talked about some stuff, I've had white media decide they want to call me all these names and label me and all that. None of that has ever bothered me. The greatest gift my toxic father gave me, because he's got that toxic masculinity, right? If you want to call it that. He's a very strong man. Is he taught me you got to move forward with your intentionality and not care what people think. So I don't care what people think. And I'm going to tell you, if you're trying to win a battle, there's no football team that has ever won a football game where they cared if the other team liked them or not. Or they've never won a game where they were trying to get accepted by the other team or trying to get other people to give them permission to be successful. You don't do that. You have to move forward with your own intentionality, and you have to have an agenda that's as strong as their agenda. So we know what the Hollywood agenda is. My question is, what is the black agenda? And when you decide what your black agenda is, how much of that agenda is tainted by what you see on TV and what you see in the so-called culture? When they tell you that something is the culture, what they're doing is they're taking black people who have good ideas, who actually want what's healthy, who actually want what's best, and they're muting those people out, making them seem irrelevant and old-fashioned, and they're elevating the people that just want you dead. The people that just want you dead. They want your son to get shot by the cops so they can hold a candlelight vigil and talk about how hard it is in America to be a black man. I've been a black man my whole life, and it used to be hard to be a black man. Now it ain't hard. It's easy. Once I figured out what a black man's supposed to do, it's easy, because when I walk into spaces, I don't feel like a victim. I don't allow myself to be. You're not putting me in the victim box. I don't identify with victimhood, because that's not the culture that I'm connected to. I'm not connected to a victim culture. So because you can never convince me in a million years that there's anything a white man could do to me that I could not do to him if I wanted to, period. So that's what equality looks like. Equality is not this other nonsense that they feed you in your, in your state sanctioned Black History Month, right? Whatever. Like, that's not equality. That is simple. That's them treating you like you're a disabled child. That's them making special allowances for you because you're in that disabled category along with people with like one leg and that have mental deficiencies. They put you in that handicap category, which is why they align blackness with all these other things, right? So because you're part of the other group, and they feel sorry for you and they give you a couple crumbs, and you're supposed to be happy nibbling on your crumbs until they decide to give you the big piece of chicken. I don't think that's the way to win. So that's my 2 cents. I know I went further than you might have expected, but this movie kind of triggered a lot of thoughts in my head. I'm not against this film. I'm not against Kenya Barris. I'm not against any of the actors in the movie. I recommend checking it out. It's on Netflix. If you've got a Netflix account, why not? It might be entertaining for you. I'm just going to say that just remember, these movies will always have an agenda, and their goal is to be able to look at you as a black person and say, this is your culture. And remember, you're not allowed to look at them and say, this is going to be your culture. So understand that you will never be equal to any group of people that can decide what your culture is going to be. That's not equality. That's subordination. You've been subordinated to their agenda. Okay. All right. So I'm about to get out of here, guys. Do me a favor. If you're on, I guess you're on Instagram or wherever, you can go to boycewatkins.com, and I have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff going on in the Black Business School, so feel free to do that. You guys know my PhD's in finance, in case you don't know, and my goal is Black wealth, and I love to educate you and your family, and I have some stuff there. A lot of it's free, so feel free to go to boycewatkins.com, or if you're on Instagram, just hit the link in the bio and take a look. So if I've offended anybody with this conversation, I apologize, but I'm going to just be honest with you, and I hope that this discussion was helpful for you. All right, so take care, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Peace.